Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. Those of you that are new, welcome. Those of you that seen, there was an interview Friday night on ABC with George Serentopoulos, who worked for the Clinton administration, and gave quite a bit of money to them over the years, $25,000 each time, several times. Gave an interview to President Biden. Basically, I guess the Biden administration saw this as a way to make up for the dismal failure of the debate. And I don't think it did anything, but it's not what conservative people like me or Trump supporters like myself think. It's what the Democrats think that really matters in this case. ABC News panel says Biden interview won't calm the nerves of jittery Democrats. ABC's Rachel Scott said, the dam hasn't broken tonight, but the bleeding has not stopped either. Now, I watched some of the debate. I watched it live on ABC News, has their own YouTube channel. And I watched bits and pieces of it. And I have to say, honestly, George Serentopoulos was a little tougher than I thought he'd be. So that tells me one thing. That tells me the hierarchy in the Democratic Party, the Obamas, the Clintons, Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, even Harris behind the scenes, have told the media now, cable news, that it's okay to be tough on Biden, not cover for him anymore, because we can't. Whoever thought that debate was a good idea on the Biden administration not only should be fired, but they should be barred from any political party for the rest of their lives, but does great for Trump. So let's get to it here. We're going to see a short clip. This is from somebody that has been supporting Biden and the Democrats for years. Whatever happened to the Walter Cronkite types? Walter Cronkite was a lefty, but he tried to tell the news about straightforward. Now you have news commentators talking about what Biden needs to do to resuscitate himself. That's not their job. That's not reporting news, but of course you all knew that.
Nothing in this interview that is calming nerves of jittery Democrats who fear that Joe Biden is on a trajectory to lose this race, to lose to Donald Trump.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. There's some background music. But it's amazing to me. The ABC News panel has some choice words for President Biden following his primetime interview with anchor George Serentopoulos Friday. Look, Biden looked better and certainly more coherent, which is an incredibly low bar. But he looked during the debate, but there's nothing in this interview that is calming jittery Democrats who fears that Joe Biden is on a trajectory to lose this race, to lose to Donald Trump. See, they'll feel badly if a Republican wins the presidency. But to them, Donald Trump getting back in the White House is totally unacceptable. Not just the Democrats, rank and file Democrats in the United States, also mainstream media people. It's something, I'll tell you. I thought it would get interesting, but we still got how many days left before the election? November 5th. Do the math. ABC News chief correspondent Jonathan Karl said told Stephanopoulos after the interview, in fact, for some of those people, the interview is raising new concerns, particularly the fact he is unwilling or unaware of the fact that he is in dire situation here regarding the campaign, that he is losing. In the view of many Democrats, and frankly in the polls you cited, he is losing to Donald Trump. And he said, well, I'm even. I'm doing well. We're coming up. And it's what happens when you're president. Obama talked about it. Clinton talked about it. Bush talked about it. All the presidents have talked about it in the past. You're in this bubble. I mean, you can't even use your own cell phone. You can't drive anywhere. I mean, you can't just walk down the street and talk to people. You become in this bubble. So how do you get what's really going on from real people? It's, I don't know if he's just delusional or they're feeding him information or he's just seeing what he wants to see. He still talks about the fact that Donald Trump said he put bleach in for COVID-19, which is nonsense. About the good people on both sides in Charlottesville. He wasn't talking about the neo-Nazis and the protesters. He was talking about the people that were involved locally with the statue being up or down. And they twisted everything around. He still says it to this day about the suckers and losers when he was at Arlington. John Bolton, who used to work for Trump, who hates Trump's guts, even said, oh, no, I was there. He never said anything of the kind. And Bolton can't stand him. The bottom line here is there is nothing in this interview that will force Joe Biden out of the race. But there's also nothing in this interview that could calm the nerves of Democrats who are saying it's time for him to get out. Now, you got to remember, we have to assume that this interview was taped, it wasn't live, was heavily, heavily edited just to take out the ands and uhs and the mumbling and the stumbling. So we really don't know. Very much like when he was questioned by special counsel Hur concerning the documents and some other things. They want the audio tapes. Well, they sent the transcripts to Congress, but those can be altered. It takes out the context, the look on his face, the hemming and hawing and the pausing and the confused look. You don't see that in the transcript. And that's why they held Merrick Garland in contempt. But that's another story for another time. ABC News chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz said that those Democrats she had texted insisted the interview wasn't as bad as they expected, but added, that's a pretty low bar. It's funny when top Democrat donors, very, very rich people that give lots of money to the Democrat Party, say the same thing I did. It was a pretty low bar to meet from the debate. We're all on the same page. You know something's got to be up. The network's congressional correspondent Rachel Scott told Seratopoulos that after hearing from Democrat lawmakers, they're concerned that while the dam hasn't broken tonight, the bleeding has not stopped either. Oh, give me a break. They're trying to, trying to put a spin on the disaster. Yeah, the dam has broke, and he can't stop the bleeding. Another Democrat telling me better, but not sure that is enough. That they need more than one interview, more than 22 minutes to prove the president has the stamina to continue in the race and defeat Donald Trump, Scott said before adding that the movement trying to remove Biden as a Democrat nominee is growing. Raddatz concluded the panel by pointing to Biden's false response, watch me, when asked about his age, stressing that aging is not like a broken bone. It doesn't get better. Everyone is watching and believe they're going to be watching even more closely as we go forward, he told the anchor. Now, it's funny, he refused to commit to a cognitive test. And he says, yeah, I do take a cognitive test every single day as president. But he said he passed physically with flying colors from his doctor. Well, he's probably talking maybe blood pressure, probably cancer screens, a host of other things that you get an annual physical, especially when you're the president. They want to make sure everything's, okay. The cognitive test, you can't tell from blood pressure. Among the most talked about moments from Biden's sit-down with Seratopoulos, the first he was given since last month's presidential debate, which has certainty of whether he had watched his disastrous debate performance and his refusal to a cognitive test. Well, he says, I do take one every week, every day. And he mentioned, I do have to say, though, Seratopoulos was a little tougher than I thought he'd be. I'm not giving the guy a break. I mean, he's a hack from way back. But I do have to say, and I was surprised that the moderators in the CNN debate were as fair as they were, considering how bad they think. I mean, you had Jake Tapper quoting out of Mein Kampf and then comparing quotes from Trump at the same time. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Biden's shocking debate performance has become a political earthquake with wide swaths of the liberal media calling for him to withdraw from the presidential race. Even the guys in the Young Turks are calling for it. At a Friday campaign rally in Wisconsin, Biden says he's staying in the race. Now, as a Trump supporter and someone who wants to see former President Trump win, I think Biden should stay. I think Trump's best chance is to have Biden in there. This is a box or somebody painting themselves in the corner, use any analogy you want. The Democrats did by beating Donald Trump. This is what they had to do to beat him. It's the old, I say it all the time. You have dogs that chase cars and bark at them all the time. And what happens when the dog catches the car? Well, he doesn't know what to do. And they're in that same position now. Biden saw it as his last chance in his lifetime to become president. I think he ran 3 or 4 times prior to this and did horribly. COVID came, the rules changed, and a lot of the election laws changed. We'll just leave it at that. Won't go into detail because this website won't allow it. And however they did it, he got elected. Now, what do you do now? And Kamala Harris, of all people, she got less than 2% of her own Democrats when she ran the primary against Biden with many others, including Tulsi Gabbard and several others. She dropped out of the presidential race just before California's primary, which is her home state, the one she was attorney general in and screwed thousands of people before, because she probably had some inside polling, internal polling showing she's going to get killed in her own home state, so withdrew from the election. And then she got picked as Biden's VP. I'll never figure that one out. Never figure that one out. I guess Gavin Newsom is just biding his time. The only wild card in this whole thing isn't Newsom, it isn't Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan or several other Democrats. The wild card here is Michelle Obama. Will the Democrats rally around her? Are they voting for her because they like her? Are they voting for her, or will vote for her because they hate Donald Trump? It's like 67, 68% of American likely voters think that Joe Biden is too old and too senile to be president. But yet, he has approval ratings in the high 30s, low 40s. That makes no sense until you plug in the fact they hate Donald Trump and they have Trump, what they call Trump derangement syndrome. So we're going to have to see. What a mess. But I have to say it was a hell of a week for the Republicans and Trump between the debate and the immunity ruling from the Supreme Court, which did not get ruled because it helps Donald Trump. It got ruled because it's protecting the office of the president. Let's make that clear. And I made that clear in other videos if you want to go check them out. Biden is stubborn. He's always been stubborn. He's had a short fuse his whole life, at least what I've seen in videos and such. We're going to have to see. He says he's not dropping out. And Kamala Harris has got to be sitting in her house or in her office going, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All Biden has to do is say, I'm not going to run again. I'm going to finish out the term till January 20th when they swear in the new president, but I'm going to be a one-term president. I'm going to hand it off to a new generation of Americans that want to bring America to the blah, 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 blah. I'm making a sacrifice by giving up the Oval Office and so the country can get some new blood and move forward. And I can almost write the speech myself, and I'm not that great of a speechwriter. So we're going to have to see. But Joe Biden's always been a self-serving SOB. He always has been. He's just an incredible narcissist. Most politicians are, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I've had public office myself here in upstate New York. I was a city councilman for 8 years, a city president for one, a council president for one. And to a certain extent, when you're campaigning, putting out literature, knocking on doors, it is look at me, look at me, look at me. So there's a little narcissism in everybody that runs for public office, but not like this. Not like this at all. Anyway, folks, I used to think that Biden wouldn't run, and then the next week I think he's going to run, and, you know, I don't know what the hell's going on. I really don't. The only wild card that concerns me is Michelle Obama. We'll have to see. She swears up and down she's not going to do it, but that doesn't mean anything. But anyway, folks, here we are. Reality TV in Washington, D.C. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.